Good morning, everyone. We were going to skip right over one whole seminar. This morning, we'll feature two presentations within our Looking Ahead section of the conference. Often we find ourselves with tunnel vision, focusing on the current moment and our current situation. We could all do a better job of looking ahead. When we do glance into the distance, we notice the horizon is a beautiful sight to see. So buckle your seatbelts because now we're going to shift gears and accelerate forward. Last night, you had the opportunity to test drive a few of those extended reality products. If you've wondered what applications this technology has for your business, you're not alone. While XR technology has yet to reach a critical mass with smaller companies, the proliferation of these applications is making it cheaper and easier to purchase, deploy, and connect things. And there are some very promising use cases for XR in our industry that you should be aware of. Our next speaker will elaborate. David Biggs has managed Woodworking Network's digital portfolio for the last 5 years, helping to design and launch multiple new products for the industry during that time, as well as providing industry education at major trade shows and association events. David was recently awarded a Media Growth Valued Performer Award for outstanding contributions to the business-to-business publishing industry. Please join me in welcoming David.
Let me make sure I have this clicker working here. Okay. Hello and good morning to everybody here today, and thank you for the warm welcome. I appreciate it. My name is David Biggs, and like he mentioned, I manage Woodworking Network's digital properties. Woodworking Network is a media and publishing company that operates brands that most of you are probably familiar with, like FDMC Magazine and Closets and Organized Storage. And if you're not familiar, they are free publications for anyone who's working in the professional woodworking industry. So I encourage you, if you don't already receive those at your place of business, to go to woodworkingnetwork.com and subscribe to those publications. You can do so just from the top of the website there under subscribe. We also run regional and international trade shows, like the upcoming Cabinets and Closets show in Arlington, Texas, which is actually next week. And the Woodworking Machinery and Supply Show in Toronto runs every other year. So let me tell you a little bit about how a working day for me might go. After cooking up some bacon from this little place in Wittenberg, Wisconsin called Newski's, which, by the way, if you're in the area and you see Newski's smoked meats anywhere, I really recommend you try it. They're delicious. They're fantastic. Also getting a traditional cup of coffee. I'll sit down at my desk and switch on my laptop, and I'll log into Slack, which my company uses as a virtual office and a communications tool. And I'll refer to whatever is on my to-do list for that morning. And I'll get back to that, but what I really want to share with you first is that I've always been a virtual reality enthusiast. The latest VR technologies to hit the consumer market, though, are finally at the point where someone can go into a Best Buy, purchase a headset for $400, take it home and turn it on, and be completely immersed in high-quality virtual environments, in applications, in games, within 5 minutes of booting the thing up. It's been a long time coming. And I literally climb mountains, go fishing from old bridges, skydive, and race cars during my breaks at work. Talk about getting out of the office for a couple minutes, right? It's fantastic. Now, I have the distinct pleasure of working with our great editorial staff on a daily basis and also overseeing the website, woodworkingnetwork.com. And the website's full of industry news and best practices related to the manufacture of wood products. And that's how, several years ago, I started paying attention to this slow influx and adoption of extended reality into the professional woodworking industry. I remember back in 2015 when Lowe's started putting up their Hollow Room in stores, and that was a virtual reality room visualizer where customers could preview cabinets with different styles, different woods, different finishes. And today there are tons more products that exist within this space of virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. And many more still to come. Seeing the devices that were on display last night solidifies the adoption and growth in the industry. Extended reality technology is a tool that's here to stay. And thanks, by the way, to Vortec and Styles Homag and Mimbus for showcasing some really neat technology over drinks. And I don't think any of the equipment even got spilled on, so I guess we passed. But let's move on to the different types of extended reality that we'll be talking about today. So can I see a show of hands out there for people that have used virtual reality devices? And that includes yesterday. So put one on and used it. I gotcha. You can put your hands down. Now, how many people are familiar with the differences between the different technologies included in that extended umbrella? Virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. Okay, so there's some pretty smart people in the audience. And finally, how many of you currently use some form of extended reality in your businesses currently right now? If I can see a show of hands. Okay, great. So that's a good starting point, and thanks for participating in this morning's exercise. Appreciate it. So a short bit of history. We've seen virtual reality before, of course, in the early 90s, and the experience of virtual reality back then was filled with these big, giant, monolithic headsets, pixelated games, and these great big setups that were stationed at malls and amusement parks around the country, which was pretty much just a fun distraction, but not something that could be used in a practical sense, and especially not used in manufacturing or other business applications. And VR all but disappeared, really, after it failed to catch on in a substantial way during that time period. Skipping to May of 2019, just less than a year ago, a device called the Oculus Quest was released to the public. The Quest is a virtual reality headset that looks much like the image on this slide, but it doesn't require any external connections to achieve an immersive experience. There's no cords or cables of any kind that are necessary when using the Quest. You may have seen commercials for this device during the Super Bowl. They're really kind of plastering it out there right now. Everything's self-contained, and it allows you to step into virtual reality anywhere and interact at room scale, which means being able to walk around without any kind of restriction. So that's where we are now, and the rapidly advancing technology of both the hardware and software that power this device and others like it are the reason that we can even talk about implementing extended reality solutions to augment or entirely replace processes across the board in your businesses today. From designing and marketing to training and operations to manufacturing and fulfillment. But first, let's make sure we understand the individual concepts that fall under the umbrella of extended reality, virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. So when we talk about virtual reality or VR, this is a technology that's attempting to build a three-dimensional image or an environment that we can observe and perceive as a real construct in front of us, but doesn't actually exist in reality. Not only can we perceive those surroundings, but we can also interact with them in ways that are difficult to distinguish from performing similar actions in the real world. Complete with haptic feedback that mirrors the feeling of using your body to manipulate images and objects, virtual reality encompasses different levels of immersion inside a simulation which is being created entirely by a mix of hardware and software. In most cases, this is referring to what's called full immersion, but it can also include less immersive experiences, for example, like a pilot being trained within a flight simulator, where the trainee is interacting with virtual reality as displayed on a projection screen and on physical devices in their environment, but not wearing a headset or other peripherals, and so they're more aware of the real world outside of that virtual environment. Augmented reality, or AR, is different from virtual reality in that its goal is not to replace your existing vision or experience, but rather to add to it. So that can include any devices with screens like cell phones, tablets, and laptops, but also wearable devices. We'll talk a lot about AR today since the majority of transparent smart glasses used for industrial work, like Microsoft's HoloLens, Vuzix M400 or Blade series, or the Magic Leap, for example, fall under this category device. And those are just a few brands of many different devices that have already been in use for years. These are not the bulkier headsets, some of which we tried on last night, like the HTC Vive and things like that, but rather lightweight glasses that look like sunglasses that are designed to project images and words directly over whatever is in your vision, like a digital overlay on a car windshield, for example. And as I mentioned earlier, cell phones and tablets are also very commonly utilized in augmented reality applications. For example, Pokemon Go is an application that's super popular where the device's camera is used to track and capture fictional animated characters. Exciting stuff. Since smart glasses have more built-in features, and most are designed specifically to move around with you, they can be configured with floating windows filled with data that basically act as a mobile workstation, providing information in view while still affording the ability to move around on a manufacturing floor or a warehouse, for example. And finally, mixed reality, or MR, is a merging of the two technologies that we've already discussed. So augmented reality is used to display virtual objects like data or three-dimensional constructs within an overlay of reality. And MR is also doing that same thing, but the distinction is that mixed reality allows users to interact and manipulate those objects, resize and rotate applications and move them around your field of view, where they will stay in those locations inside the real world. And think of MR as an enhanced version of augmented reality, where the virtual objects can interact with the real objects. For example, one application already in use is in the operating room. Surgeons can use smart glasses like Microsoft's HoloLens to display overlay imaging onto a patient's body and even internal organs and vessels during actual surgery. This immersive holographic MR system will allow the surgeon to see a real-time 3D interactive perspective of the inside of the patient while engaged in the surgery itself, rather than needing to break focus and consult with external imagery or machines during an operation. The ability for smart glasses utilizing mixed reality to accurately join together the real and virtual objects and use that to increase the efficiency and ease of the task at hand is really impressive. And that's the difference between AR and MR. While a device using augmented reality tech could place a virtual object like a mug in your immediate field of vision, a similar device using mixed reality could actually allow you to set that virtual mug directly on a very real table right in front of you. And that's the real and virtual worlds merged together. The field of extended reality for business applications is growing at a rapid rate and enjoying a surge in adoption just over the past few years. Because of this, it can be difficult to pinpoint accurate and updated statistics to share with you, but there are a few companies and associations that have started to provide reporting and insight into the industry. Perkins Coie, a celebrated international law firm, along with the XR Association, which was created to promote responsible adoption of XR technologies, recently, in March of 2019, released their third executive report on industry insights into augmented and virtual reality and the future of immersive technology. Nearly 9 in 10 respondents to their industry survey agree that by the year 2025, immersive technologies of XR, or extended reality, including augmented, virtual, and mixed, which we talked about already, will be as ubiquitous as the mobile devices that we have in our pockets are right now. There are concerns about making the devices more user-friendly and more cost-effective and more comfortable, but those are all problems fixed relatively easily now that the technology is more robust, and there's healthy competition out there by companies manufacturing both the hardware and the software that make all of this work. In this global survey, North America was seen as the top region for investment and also was expected to witness the fastest growth over the next 5 years. Respondents also selected manufacturing as the fourth most applicable industry for XR tech, just after gaming, healthcare, and education. The key takeaway from this research for our discussion today is that the adoption of extended reality in manufacturing is approaching a tipping point, where in just a few years from now, more companies will be utilizing the technology than those that don't. Another relevant white paper and research document from 2019 titled The State of Industrial Augmented Reality was created by PTC Incorporated, which is a Fortune 500 company that specializes in computer software and services. Much like the study done by Perkins Coie, the State of Industrial Augmented Reality points out that 2018 was a breakout year for augmented reality as enterprises accelerated their adoption of the available technologies. And the key findings of the study are as follows. Industrial enterprises are the highest adopters of augmented reality, focusing efforts on improving worker performance and solving the skilled labor shortage that they're experiencing currently. Number two, use cases for worker productivity focus on delivering instructions and guidance, primarily within manufacturing, service, and training environments. Number three, companies piloting AR initiatives are experiencing dramatic gains in worker efficiency and quality while reducing the cost of training by more effectively transferring knowledge to new workers. Number four, successful pilot programs are being moved to production at higher rates year over year to capitalize on the early mover competitive advantage. So as you can see from the chart here, the beneficiaries of this technology across industrial enterprise mainly include design, manufacturing, service, and training. The most common manufacturing, service, and training use cases include utilizing step-by-step instructions to speed up the completion of tasks and to improve work quality and collaboration among workers. According to the 2018 Manufacturing Workforce Training Survey conducted by Informa, 75% of manufacturers view on-the-floor pairing or shadowing as the most effective way to train workers currently. That's followed by only 15% for classroom methods. One-to-one expert training is costly and inefficient, but with augmented reality, these challenges can be significantly reduced. Especially in a time when the skill gap and retirement of previous workforce has become such an issue, industrial enterprises are welcoming the new capabilities for a much-needed overhaul of the knowledge transfer and workforce development that we're all working on. There are all kinds of uses for extended reality tech in business and enterprise, but it starts with delivering relevant data of some kind to workers, wherever they might be and whatever they might be working on. Imagine a manufacturing floor where you know exactly what's happening all around you, where your coworkers are within that facility, what they're working on, and what machinery might be operating incorrectly, or is at peak performance, or is due for maintenance, etc. All of that information at your fingertips at all times and being dynamically updated throughout the day. Glancing at a machine might reveal information about its current status, whether it's operating hot or malfunctioning in some way, what the percentage of completion of its current job is. Smart glasses or other AR-enabled tech can utilize GPS locations as a trigger to pair the current location with any other information stored as a point of interest. In other words, whether you're searching for a coworker, a certain machine or a tool, or some kind of specific material, it could be as simple as selecting that or saying what you need information on, and the device can provide you with direct guidance to the exact location or item that you're looking for. Or maybe you're waiting on another job to be completed elsewhere in the facility. Information on that job and the location of all existing work could be easily accessible from within your field of vision. The automaker Porsche has rolled out a new initiative at some of their factories in Germany called Porsche Production 4.0. As part of the initiative, they created an AR application that runs on a tablet, and it's used to identify minor deviations in the individual parts during the quality control process. It uses computer-generated images and optical measuring to measure up to 16 million points per scan. From dimensional accuracy to surface finish, Porsche's AR app provides a more accurate and more efficient way of guaranteeing high-quality products and reducing design errors. Complex instructions are a part of everyday work in manufacturing, and it's important that workers be trained to a high level in order to minimize mistakes and also to keep the safety standards to a high level. Being able to overlay detailed manufacturing instructions that outline processes for operating machinery or finishing or assembly is invaluable. Take Boeing, for example. One of their new air freighters at Boeing, it's called the 747-A, has 130 miles worth of wiring for each jet aircraft that's being assembled. Boeing uses smart glasses and upskills AR platform they call Skylight to give all of their technicians the instructions they need right within their field of vision. And as a result, Boeing has cut wiring production time on assembly by 25% and reduced error rates effectively to 0. BAE Systems is an aerospace and defense company that has piloted operator and assembly work instructions to improve the speed and accuracy of assembly procedures and more quickly and inexpensively roll out new information to workers. Using AR, they can create work instructions to deliver to workers in hours at 1/10 of the cost of previous methods that were employed. According to BAE, AR has enabled them to cut their assembly time in half. Looking at work instruction from an AR-based perspective allows for many positive elements that didn't exist before with static reference materials. AR instructions can be delivered step by step, in real time, and in context while people are working on machines and doing the processes they do every day. They can be displayed within the field of view of a worker in any combination of 2D and 3D objects, images, or data. And they can be viewed without having to move away or shift attention from the position they are in or the machinery that they are operating. Extended reality applications within the manufacturing environment can also allow for real-time dashboards that monitor the progress of operations and the amount of work completed over a period of time. Feedback from other company personnel can be shown to a worker immediately before, during, or after operations, and can be translated into performance scores, or even in some cases, gamifying everyday work as a form of personal motivation. From the fulfillment side, warehouse employees have to perform quite a few actions generally to manage an order from where it's stored originally to the correct spot at the loading dock, perhaps checking the information, finding the correct product, scanning that item and reporting the data, delivering the product to its final location, and then signing off on the whole process. Utilizing extended reality technologies here can simplify the whole process with the ultimate goal of relieving the complexity of tasks to the worker and reducing the cost of warehouse operations by increasing efficiencies overall. For example, DHL has already implemented what they call vision picking, and that includes giving workers a heads-up display that enables them to locate, scan, sort, and move inventory without needing a handheld scanner or referencing hard copy forms. The warehouses already participating in this DHL program have seen a worker productivity increase by 15%. DHL uses Google Glass Enterprise Edition as the smart glasses to run their software to power this program. A worker that's aided by this kind of technology is able to have a picking list in their field of view, and the device can determine the best route to take to reduce their travel time around the warehouse, as well as pinpointing the location of specific items that may otherwise have taken longer to locate. The whole process simplifies the various tasks that used to be associated with logistics to simply locate and deliver. In fact, the whole logistics process can be aided with the solutions that we're discussing today, from stock and inventory management, like we just covered, to training and learning, to analytics and display of results. Extended reality is fundamentally changing how logistics businesses are run entirely, and in some cases, that can certainly translate to your business as well. Companies can't rely on traditional training any longer to maintain a highly efficient workspace and workforce. Work instructions that are delivered via hard copy or video or basic classroom training will provide less and less of a return as the larger, more complex, and more digital environments become that way. As the factory evolves into a more digital space, so must the employees also go through a similar evolution by utilizing new technologies to bolster the limited memory and skill retention of an operator or a technician. AR vastly improves how training is delivered to new employees. Traditional methods are time-intensive and cost-intensive and deliver mixed results. Hard copy, printed instructions can be difficult to interpret. Videos are not interactive and generally designed as one-size-fits-all rather than being customizable to specific needs or individuals. And shadowing in live production environments can be hard to schedule and reduce productivity. It's also difficult to create and maintain these kinds of training materials and keep them updated when there are new procedures and instructions available. The benefits of using extended reality technology for training include utilizing several learning styles at once, including visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. We should embrace all the different ways in which individuals learn more efficiently and with more retention. Providing step-by-step visual and oral instructions in real time, not allowing for distractions and gaps in concentration by having materials off to the side or contained within another form of media away from the task at hand. Helping workers to navigate the factory and warehouse more efficiently. Some manufacturing facilities can be a maze of people and machines, so the faster a new hire can familiarize themselves with their surroundings, the better. Identifying the proper tools and parts required for a task, and alerting and correcting any mistakes along the way with real-time feedback, which is really one of the most important things and something that's just not possible without one-on-one training in other situations. According to a research study done by Deloitte a few years ago, over the next 10 years, more than 2.7 million baby boomers are retiring from manufacturing, taking their knowledge gained over decades of experience with them. Here's another example of how manufacturers could utilize AR to capture that expert knowledge and use it later in training materials without having to spend a huge amount of time creating training documentation. A senior operator could perform a task while wearing AR tech and talk through the steps like they're training someone. At the same time, AR tech within a pair of smart glasses can be documenting that and automatically translating it into training materials to use at a later date. Are there not enough experts on particular types of machinery or operations on the manufacturing floor? Another way to bridge that skills gap could be to have a remote expert wearing an AR device that can connect to any other person in a factory throughout the world, also wearing one. The expert could then communicate via audio as well as drawing and making markings right on top of the field of view of the person in the factory. In that way, trusted experts could help employees to navigate through challenging tasks or how to troubleshoot issues with the machine from thousands of miles away. One last example of using AR for technical training purposes in industrial manufacturing is what Jaguar and Land Rover have accomplished in teaming up with Bosch to create a technical training app that gives users X-ray vision into the car to show the exact location of auto components in the vehicle behind their external surfaces. That platform is called Reflect One, and it makes creating interactive manuals and documentation for maintenance very easy using existing CAD data that you may already have as a business. Companies can use their existing materials to create in-house augmented reality applications for visual instructions, interactive checklists. I think I lost it here. Thank you. Interactive checklists or training scenarios with existing editing systems. In a modern factory, one machine could require many maintenance procedures throughout its lifetime. Those procedures can range from very simple to very complex, and with remote expert assistance, a technician that is not physically on site could connect to the video feed on an AR device and give that on-site user the data and guidance needed to walk them through a procedure. Large manufacturers are building archives of recorded procedures that can be accessed and used later if a similar problem with a machine comes up again. Support staff need information for their jobs as well, and AR devices that are programmed to automatically tell support what equipment needs servicing, potential issues, operation times, date of last service, and more can be implemented with current tech that's already out there. Utilizing extended reality technology in prototyping and design efforts allows us to grab an idea from a screen and drop it right into a real-world view at full scale. And this allows you to picture how a new design might look and feel in a real space. Bring in other people to get real-time feedback while it's being designed and prototyped, and even look inside of a holographic model to see its internal parts as assembled. Collaborating in real time and sharing designs that are viewable as part of the real world rather than just on a computer screen can facilitate quicker and more insightful prototyping and eliminate a lot of back and forth that older conceptual systems inherently require. So, there's already many examples of successful extended reality implementations that don't require much time and effort to develop. Remote experts in maintenance, training simulations and programs, design and prototyping, and real-time work instructions are some of these. Many platforms can utilize 2D and 3D instructions and visual aids for manufacturing and maintenance. You don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel to involve some of this technology in your current operation. It's easier to start with repetitive tasks that can be made more efficient or more accurate with this new technology, since there's less variability involved than with complex tasks. And you should certainly do so if you're just starting off using this for the first time. I encourage you to explore the variety of full-service platforms that are out there, but it may well turn out that just one or two things that some individual companies provide may fit best for your company. Either way, I hope you leave here today with a wider perspective of all the ways in which extended reality technology can be used within the industry. So thank you for your time today, and I'd like to take this opportunity to bring up Lohan Dadalto from Mimbus for a quick overview of their offerings, some of which you may have already seen at the reception last night. Thank you.
He's getting mic'd up. He'll be right with us.
Great.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you, Dave. Yeah. Can you hear me, everybody? Hello? Oh, good coffee tonight, this morning. Eh? I'm Laurent Dadalto. I'm from France. So sorry for my bad English and my strong accent. Can we move to my slides, maybe? It's all right. Yeah, that's me. That's fine. So I guess some of you already tried yesterday evening to spray paint, to do some finishing on the wood parts. You did great. The score was quite high. I'm just telling that every time, but it's not true. So I will give you an insight, and thanks, Dave, because what you presented is really an extensive introduction of what XR is today. That's funny, just for the history. X for XR is just because after saying AR, VR, MR, we were thinking, well, it's anything R. So we said XR. And then the society, the economy said, X is for extended. It's really serious things. So that's really funny how it moves. I had my PhD in VR 30 years ago now. So it's a long story, you see. It exists for a long time. What I did in 2011, I created a company because I discovered that VR moved to a certain extent that we can use it in anything, not only for pilots, not only for military people, but also for workers. And it's especially true, it's true everywhere, but in the US, there's a huge shortage in this job, mainly because the new generation doesn't know about them. So you need to attract them, need to show them that it's different from before. It's not that dusty, that hard to do. It's also the job evolved with the digital revolution. And so my idea was to find a way to bridge that gap between the feeling of the new generation and the shortage of the industry. And I will make it fast just for you to give you a very quick understanding. It's like a short pitch that I will give you, but you can come back to me for further information. We created in my team a platform that is called Vulkan, and that platform is able to connect to any XR environment and get the information from what's happening in the VR, in AR, in whatever, you name it. So we created and we added a lot of existing contents for different trades. Today we have 20 different trades, all manual skills. We started with welding 20 years ago, then spray painting, as the things you see yesterday, then electricity, then heavy machinery driver, whatever, everything related to manual skills. But the problem today is that we have a lot of contents now. More and more companies are doing contents in this area. The problem is that you're practicing, you're living the experience, but in terms of efficiency, in terms of what did you learn, what is your actual skill, we just have a feedback, an instant feedback. We cannot evaluate your skills progression over your lifetime. And that's why we created Vulkan. Vulkan is like a LinkedIn, let's say, of your manual skills. It's fed automatically every time you're accessing, you're playing with a VR, AR environment. So, of course, that experience has to be compliant, connected to Vulkan, which is a cloud application. But when it's done, we can collect all the information, analyze every of your skill, like concentration, precision, mistakes, understanding, whatever. It's both kind of behavioral skills and manual skills. And on the other way, the instructor, the company, you name it, the association, can also drive the way we're teaching. So we can adapt the parameter of the exercise, the complexity of the task to perform, thanks to Vulkan, and we can assign different difficulties to different students, different people. So that also turns the system in intelligent. And we're talking a lot today about artificial intelligence, and that kind of things start to also integrate this kind of environment. So we're using artificial intelligence to identify your profile, adapt your exercise to your needs. That's what you did yesterday. You did just an exercise. You painted once, but if you have been working several times, the system will adapt the difficulty of the exercise for you. I will have a focus. I display a video right now on wooded table. Wooded table, I was not able to bring it here yesterday because it's very heavy, very difficult to carry with. If you're going to IWF in Atlanta in August, we will be on the booth of the Woodworking Career Alliance with this equipment, so you will be able to try it. I invite you to join at that moment. So that's how it looked like. And it's augmented reality mixed with force feedback. Force feedback means that you really feel the effect of the blade on the plank, but it's all virtual. So it's just a table like that. The table is designed to simulate 4 different equipment, cutting and forming equipment, like the table saw, the bandsaw, and so on. So you just open the table, put the glasses on. There's a video projector on top of it. And the video projector will project a 3D image. So with the glasses, you will see the effect of the 3D. You feel like if you were cutting a real plank, but it's not. It's just a white plank with a texture on it. And you feel the strength of the blade. You feel the vibration. And it's all about positioning your hand in the right way, saving your fingers. So you see the student has to prepare the work, has to set up the machine in a proper way, stop the machine in a proper way at the end too, And all that thing is tracked. So that's the interest of Vulkan. We can evaluate if he's good or not. Even an expert, we can ask him to work on this and see if he's applying the security rules or not. The interest of that device is really about safety. It depends on the application. It's also training. And for instance, every teacher has a different way of teaching. So here, the teacher will define his perfect motion, and the machine will register that, and his student will have to follow his own motion. So there's a lot of things we can do to this kind of device. Well, that's how Vulkan look like. I will not go deeply on that. You can have a look on the website. There's a demonstration and video. It's all right. And that's the aim. Today, we are partnered with Microsoft and HP. They are very interested by this kind of things. We are their expert partner for recruitment and training through VR, AR using Vulkan. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. If you want to stay up here for just a second, I did want to open it up for any questions from the audience. And I should mention, first of all, that I know I had a lot of information to pack in. I do plan on sharing a whole bunch of videos and source files and white papers that I use to generate all that information in the overview to you guys. So if you have a chance to look over some of those, they're very interesting. And either of us will be happy to field any questions. He has the PhD. But I'm happy to take any that you have as well.
I've got a question. So in that spraying training deal and with that other thing that you were just showing, what's the availability and the accessibility of one of those things for a smaller shop? So say I only had 4 or 5 employees. I'm not necessarily interested in purchasing that whole thing, and I don't have any idea what the cost is, but I'm going to guess that it's, for something that I'm only going to use occasionally. Is that something that would be available for lease for a period of time? Or
Yes.
Is that something that I need to purchase?
Yeah, that's a good question. Indeed, and I can tell you that this kind of equipment is really designed for a training center that has a huge need for training. So the cost is something like $40,000 for the big machine. I mean, we have software that costs $100, but we have huge machine like the table. It's $40,000. So the way it is today is our customer. They are training center, large technical center, training center, vocational training center, and usually we're deploying those equipment there, and they are in charge of using this equipment to train your employee, to sometimes take the equipment, move it around with a truck, and come to your place to train your people on site. It can also be a company like HR company, temporary work company, all those things, that buy the equipment to add value to the training, to the recruitment they're doing, the evaluation. And this is very true for this kind of equipment. For the latest one, the one that are more software-based, like electrician training, it's something that is very much cheaper. And as Dave was saying, the headset will come in-house very soon. So you will be able to buy for $100, you will be able to buy a headset. Everybody will have his own headset. So even your employee, they will have the headset at home. At least the kids will have it for the game, that's for sure. So the father will have to grab it for the kid. But yeah, they will have it at home. So they will be able to do this kind of training at home. And we're talking about something that will come in a year or two. So it's not that far away.
So you haven't deployed any of that in the United States yet?
Yeah, it is in the US already. We have some customer already equipped in the US, but they are training center. We have the mill in Colorado, for instance, that's using it quite extensively. We have another training center near Chicago that is using daily the system for training of people. But they are, dedicated training center on woodworking.
Awesome, thank you. David, could you add that or make sure that information's in what you're going to share with the group?
Sure, yeah, I'll
wherever
get in touch
the
with you
training
and make
centers
sure
are
it's
in
on
the
there.
US.
Sure.
Of course, no
Thank you.
problem.
Hey, I have a question too. Following that line of thought, it would seem like the equipment manufacturers would have this as maybe as a sales tool for a potential client to come in and do a test run on a piece of equipment or several pieces of equipment and specific to whatever industry it might be. Then after that, you know, offer some sort of training on that particular piece of equipment. Is that starting to happen as well?
Did not catch the question exactly. Can you say it
I was
differently?
thinking, you know, a big company that's manufacturing a CNC machine and
Yeah.
they have a potential client. I want to
Yeah.
go and before I fork out all that money, I want to try it, so to speak.
Okay.
Is that kind of where this is going as well with the manufacturers?
Oh, yeah, you mean evaluating the use for the operator to train on the CNC machine before receiving the equipment?
Yeah, or even just, you know, I want to buy a spray gun, but I'm not sure I like this particular model. Can I,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
try it?
Yeah, that's one of the, well, that's a marketing approach that the way that there's, for instance, to give you an example, Lincoln Electric for welding, they have this kind of VR equipment for their welding machine. And it's a different approach for them because it's not only training people, it's very interesting because if they can go in a training center, branding the training with the brand, it's a good thing for them, but it's also a marketing tool for them to make sure the people are using the equipment properly and for you to evaluate the fit with your need. And so that's something that is more and more common. There's a lot of industry that coming to us, ask us to train, to build up a kind of VR manual, user manual. It's something like that. The only constraint, again, is that you need to have a VR device, hardware, on your side, or find someone close to your place that has. But that's something that comes. Just a short talk about HP. HP today in the US is thinking about building up a lot of VR places, open places, like a Fab Lab. I don't know if you have Fab. Yeah, Fab Lab is for, you know, testing manufacturing things. HP is thinking to do the same thing, having several places where, close to you places, in Best Buy, in wherever you want, you will be able to go there and use that freely for your needs. And the content will come automatically there.
All right, well, if there's nobody else, thank you guys for listening and have a nice day. And wait, we got one more question over here. Thank you for running.
I mean, so you'd mentioned that the software is available at a much lower cost. Does that allow you to do anything, though, in a small shop? Is there a thing where you could buy maybe the hand sensors and and put a sensor maybe on your own table saw or a fence that would allow you to do something at a less expensive cost than your full-blown system?
You're talking about the woodworking simulator especially. No, this one is really, unfortunately, we would love to have something very cheap where you can install things on your existing equipment and things like that. But the techniques behind that, the technology behind that, the force feedback, it's too complicated to set up together. We cannot move it around and, you know, we cannot just use part of it and set it up like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, most of the solutions are not piecemeal just yet, not a la carte, but they're getting there. All right, well, thanks everyone for listening and have
you so much.
safe travels today.
Thanks.